Hey, this is Kyle. Thanks for coming back for our fifth and final video about research, conducting research as part of the integrated marketing plan. So this one really is just talking about how do we translate the research that we've already done into action. So we can take some next steps and start building that plan. So just to kind of recap what we've talked about so far in this series, we did a situation analysis of the company. So as a client that we might be working with, what do we know about them? Then what do we know about their competitors? And then thinking about that larger marketing environment, those uncontrollable variables, and what impact they might have on the world of our client and the campaign that we might be doing for them. Then finally, that important understanding of consumer behavior. That's the applied psychology, knowing what do the consumers think and feel and what makes them likely to buy our products. Once we understand those bits of information, we are able to start moving forward and think about, okay, how are we going to turn this into something actionable? How are we going to start shaping an integrated marketing plan? As you're doing that research and those three earlier steps, every step of the way you should not just be collecting the data, but really thinking about, hey, does this indicate that there is a challenge that is faced by my client? Is there something that needs to be addressed? You want to try to articulate that because a campaign does not operate in a vacuum. There should be a reason you're doing this. There should be a reason why you're spending money on it. When you're able to kind of articulate the problem, it's a lot easier to get funding and approval to move forward. I think one of the first actionable steps you might want to take is to conduct a SWOT analysis. You've probably heard about this before. One of your marketing classes or a business class. It's a very common practice where you build a grid with 4 quadrants. And you're basically, SWOT stands for identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. I think it's pretty obvious which ones are helpful versus which ones are harmful, but it's also good to understand which things do you kind of have some more control over because it originates from within you, and which things are kind of external, that they're things that you see outside but your company can step up and take advantage of. So doing that SWOT analysis is a great way to kind of break things down into positive, negatives, what can you control right now, or which things can you adjust around because they exist out there. You can ask any of your marketing teachers to talk to you a little bit more about SWOT analysis and the benefits of it, but I strongly encourage it. But one of the frustrating things about SWOT is I think a lot of students say, okay, that's the end of research. I've built my quadrants, I'm done. Just understanding where they fit in a box does not help you move forward with a plan. You really need to figure out, like, hey, how could I move from one quadrant to another? What kind of steps can I take to actually get us to success? I think part of the way that you really start to do this is creating a bulleted list of 3 or 4 points where you're sharing some key insights, which often refer to as takeaways, which is, of course, the Chinese takeaway is just my goofy visual because I couldn't really find a good visual for takeaway. But the idea is you want a quick, simple list of 3 or 4 things, like here's what I've distilled from the research. And they should all be kind of pointing the way forward of what can we do now? This is opening up the doors and said, these are some real issues, real opportunities. When you have that, it can start to serve as an idea for the objectives that are going to come in the next part of the integrated marketing plan. And really, it can also kind of serve as like this kernel of your campaign strategy. When you really know what those high-level things are, a strategy statement is just one sentence. So you gotta be able to distill it down to, like, here's what's really going on. And that's pretty much it. I mean, research is time-consuming and challenging, but it really pays off in the end to have that kind of detailed information supporting what you're going to do. I hope these videos on research were helpful. I hope you'll come back and join me for the next set where we'll talk about objectives and then strategy. Feel free to reach out with any help, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.